Hello, hi, welcome. I had a couple of technical problems there, so starting a little bit late, folks. We had a problem with the video resolution, so just have to do a quick reset. It's not bad. Five minutes late. Come on, you can let me. This is my third live broadcast today. So, hello and welcome to my studio. Thanks for joining us here today. Hopefully everything's going to be okay. So this is going to be 30-minute painting, a 30-minute watercolour seascape. I love doing these quick paintings. I've done quite a few. If you scroll back through my YouTube history, you'll see quite a lot of quick 30-minute pictures. My YouTube channel's full of them, so please do check it out. Make sure you hit subscribe and the notification bell if you're new to me on YouTube. I'd appreciate that. So it's going to be a quick watercolour picture, but I say 30-minute painting, but there's going to be a bit of chat involved as well. So we'll get started very shortly. Please do let me know if everything's okay with the broadcast. Is the sound okay? Am I coming across all right? Let me know, please. Right, so we seem to be okay, yeah? We alright? Adverts on the live feed. Do you get adverts on the live feed? Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? The world of free demonstrations, there's got to be some advertisement somewhere, surely. Talking about advertisements, folks, for those people that have been joining in with the virtual painting workshops over the past 23 weeks. It's been a marathon, 23 weeks watercolour workshops. I had some wonderful success on those, so thank you for everyone that's taken part, and well done to all those people that have had a go at the workshops. Okay, if you're interested in taking part in the next virtual workshop, there's a little bit of a small little banner at the bottom here. Saturday the 29th of August. These are workshops, and what I'm doing today is going to be a demonstration. This is just me painting a picture at my own pace, whereas these workshops are all about you painting along with me. And these workshops will only use 3 colours: red, yellow, blue, 3 primary colours and 3 brushes. Today for the demo I can pretty much use any colours I like, 'cause it's me painting a picture. So the sort of stuff you see here on the screen at the back, it's that kind of stuff we're going to do today. But a quick blast watercolour, a quickie. You can't beat a good quickie. We have a handful of spaces left for this workshop here, so I just want to quickly mention, and I want to say well done to everyone that took part in this one here. This was the one of Rome, the nighttime scene of Rome that we did. And a massive well done to people, because that was quite a challenging workshop for some of you. I know a lot of you had problems, but it came together at the end, as it always does every single time. So please always finish off the workshops, and well done to the people that did this. And if you want to see what people have been up to on the virtual workshops, head on over to my Facebook page, and you'll see all of people's pictures. Matthew Palmer Artist, hit like and you'll see all the stuff that's happening on there. So have we got some technical problems going off here, have we? Are we here? Have you got me? We are broadcasting at full strength here today, but I've got to say that the weather is lousy out there. It's high winds, torrential rain out there today, which can affect, don't know why or how, but it can affect live broadcasting. So hopefully I'm here and you've got me. Okay, so yeah, there you go. Live workshops. Have a think about one of those, folks. The one we're doing on Saturday is a foxglove flower with a bumblebee walking into the actual flower head. which would be wonderful. And these are examples of some of the previous workshops that we've done. So if you've missed any of the workshops, if you'd like to have a go at a virtual workshop, this is a selection of the workshops we've been doing. So, okay, check it out, folks. You will enjoy. You can pick up all these on Watercolour TV. And if anyone fancies booking a virtual workshop, the one that's happening on Saturday, all the information is on the website Watercolour TV, which is sort of down here-ish somewhere. There's a link in the description for this video as well. If you're watching this back at a later stage, just head on over to Watercolour TV and click on the workshop link, and it's pretty much a weekly watercolour lesson, but live, a virtual thing, and these are planning to continue these right through. Let's talk a little bit about materials for this picture then, what we've got here. So I've got my own range of colours, but it's important to say that you don't have to use these. Of course you don't have to use them. You can just use primary colours for this. Here's a few colours we're going to be using. We've got some natural turquoise, which is beautiful for sea, natural grey for shadows. The two skin tones are lovely, the skin tone and the skin tone light. So it's dark and light skin tone, beautiful opaque watercolours. I'm going to be using some of those. I've popped them in the palettes there. We've got natural greens. There's two greens mixed from yellow and blue pigment, so designed to replicate nature, so they are there. We've got natural blue, okay, and we've got some natural white. So I'm going to be using combinations of these colours. And I'll talk more about the colours as we progress through the picture, but we're going to create a wonderful 30-minute seascape here, folks. I've got a sheet of paper stuck to a board, and just sit back, relax and enjoy it, really, because it's going to be a nice quick watercolour painting this afternoon. Just going to move the camera a little bit closer in so you can see what we're doing here. Let's get close into the picture. Now, this is roughly a quarter imperial sheet of watercolour paper. It's actually a wee bit larger, this one. It's a larger size sheet. It's more towards the half imperial, but it doesn't matter what size you do the painting, to be honest. But this is a fairly sizey one. All the materials are available on Watercolour TV. Click on the art shop. Everything is available on there if you like any of the colours and you'd like to get hold of them. That's the place to go. Okay. Okay. So I'm sorry, the phone rung then. Work in the centre. It's going to be one of those afternoons. I'm going to work in the centre and paint a vignette. Now, a vignette is a wonderful, soft, faded edge style painting, like the dragonfly and the butterfly that you can see on the right hand side of the screen. I love to do that kind of style of painting. It seems to really suit watercolours really well, especially for quick watercolours. So I've got the paper stuck to a board with a good quality masking tape. A slight tilt on your board is advisable, albeit not essential, but it just is an advisable thing to do. Okay, and I want to paint in some sky and some sea. I don't really want to do any sketching apart from a straight pencil line. So I've got a ruler here, just a horizontal pencil line, just a little bit below, sort of halfway, just a touch below halfway. Okay, just a little bit. And that is all I want to do, really. That's all I'm interested in doing for this particular picture. And then we'll go straight in and we'll start to throw some water and some paint on the paper, okay? Can't go wrong with this. So I've got a nice big brush here. I'll talk about the brushes as I go through. So this one's a nice large brush. It's actually a size 20 brush. I'm going to wet the page pretty much all the way through, okay? Pretty much all the way through here. So this is a cotton paper. It's my own brand of paper, but a nice quality paper will be fine. This stuff's called Matthew Palmer watercolour paper, believe it or not. It's just nice paper to work on. It's made from cotton, which means it's absorbent. It's a paper that I had a hand in the design of, so it's a nice quality watercolour paper. Now I'm wetting the entire thing here, okay? Because it's cotton, it's going to hold a lot of water. Now, there's different weights and surfaces of watercolour paper. This particular one is a knot surface, which is a middle surface, okay? A mid surface. And it's £140 or 300 gram is the weight, okay? Someone did ask me a question a while ago saying, what's the paper? When I said it was £140, it was like, what? It's expensive. It's the weight, obviously. It's all nicely covered. It's all nicely covered. And now I want to put some colours on. Now, the first colour I'm going to use is actually this light skin tone. There's a light and dark skin tone. Well, this is the light skin tone here. It's like a peachy colour. It's a Mediterranean kind of colour. And I want to use this colour on the big brush. And I want to do some twisting around where I think the sky is going to be. Nice and pale for this, so if you can't see it too well, it's because it's very pale. And I want to twist this into the sky, fading the edges. Again, bear in mind, I want to try and do this in around 30 minutes if I can. 30 minutes of painting, not counting the chat. Bring that in, clean the brush really well, and then we're going to go for some blue. I'm going to take some blue now. Natural blue is going to work nice for this. Now, if you've not got natural blue, you could use French ultramarine blue or something, cobalt blue, something similar to that. The skin tone, you could mix an orange from primary colours. Let's work this in with a twist. Twist it down like so, and then it's basically letting the paint flow in the paper. So I'm twisting. Now as this mixes with the peachy orangey colour, the skin tone, it's going to go more grey, which is fine. That helps. It actually gives a nice sort of sky effect. So a quick watercolour sky with a nice twist often works well. It's surprising because I'm using a nice absorbent paper. It's actually holding the paint in place rather than bleeding, because there's naught worse than bleeding paint. Now that's gone on. That's gone on. And that's quite effective. I'm just going to make sure that I'm happy with the shapes of these clouds. Nice simple watercolour sky using two colours. You could use a pale yellow, like a yellow ochre at the base of the sky. Not a bright yellow because it'll go green. But I always think a nice bit of colour in the sky is important. There's a very weak pencil line just here that you can barely see. And I want to go across this with the blue. Horizontal lines. And then quickly popping down to palette, clean the brush out. We're going to go for natural turquoise. Now if you've not got natural turquoise, there's a few other turquoises available. This particular one is designed to replicate the sea. So it's a seascape turquoise. Okay. What you can actually do is you can mix viridian with blue, and that will give you a turquoise. Okay. I'll wipe that on the tissue. It's a nice colour for the seascape there. We're going to bring that into play across the front of the painting here. Look, don't be afraid to get some colour, get some rich colour here. Bring this across again, let it all fade in. You can see it's quite a vibrant colour. It's nice to bring that one in. I like using it, it's a good one. And it'll mix with the blue. Now because the paper is still a bit damp, that's not a bad thing for this. It works. There we go, like that. So that's the starting point of the sea. It's got a rich, powerful colour there. It really has. Very saturated. Well, that's all part of the fun of watercolour. Okay, clean the brush again. We mentioned using the skin tones, so I'm just going to bring a little bit of a beach kind of in the foreground here. Now for this I'm going to use the dark skin tone with the light skin tone together. Again, you can just mix a sandy colour. I'm just using these colours because I have them, and there's a lot of people say on YouTube, you know, this is a free demo, I can paint the way I want to, you know, this is for me to enjoy, and it's just how I want to paint this picture. So I've got the two skin tones together, which I'm going to bring into play, and kind of at the bottom corner here I'm going to do some horizontal sweeps, forward back, tapering those away. So a nice kind of rich sort of sandy colour. It'll grow on you in this picture. Let it just become part of the painting. Beautiful. Just going to pop that brush down, pick up a size 10 brush just for the minute, Notice the paper's gone a bit wavy. You can see the shadow here from the from one of the studio lights, and that's because it's wet, and wet paper goes a bit damp. I've introduced a bit of grey into this colour, natural grey, which is the dark sort of shadow colour, and I'll bring this along the edge. You can mix the grey from primary colours, red, yellow, blue, and on the workshops that we do, like the one here on the 29th of August for example, we just use the 3 colours. Literally just use 3 colours for this, and that's all I'm interested in using, just those 3 colours. Okay, now at that point I've kind of got a nice base. Now again, if you are contemplating a workshop, just bear in mind that the way I'm working here is very different to the way I would work on a workshop. A workshop is is slow and steady, whereas what I'm doing here is speedy. I'm just going to bring in some horizontal lines of this colour into this water. So this is the same colour what I've just used, the grey. We'll talk more about grey as we progress through the painting. Just want to make sure that's got some sort of movement in that sea. There we go. If anyone knows Skegness in the UK, in Lincolnshire, that's the perfect colour for Skegness. No, I'm joking. It's a beautiful place. It's one of my closest coastal towns, is Skegness, and it's a very popular coastal town in the UK. Probably even more so than Blackpool, to be honest with you, nowadays, I imagine. Skeg Vegas. Now, I'm going to give that a quick blast, folks. You can enjoy a little slideshow of Mr. Palmer's watercolour pictures. I'm just going to use a hairdryer. Look amongst yourselves. Right, well that was like watching paint dry. That's nice and dry, so we are back in this now. I'm just going to get the white balance fixed by doing that and doing that. There we go. It was a bit funny when it looks at the TV screen. Okay, so that's nice and dry. That's giving me a good base. Now I want to use that masking tape again. Take some of the stickiness away from it, from the brown. Pop that on the horizon, that pencil line that went on a little bit earlier. Pop that, in fact we can be a little bit lower actually. Probably about there somewhere. Can't go wrong with that. And then what we'll do, folks, is we'll take the size 10 brush. Let's have a quick look at the palette. We mentioned the grey. Natural grey is my version of grey. It's made from blue, red, yellow. It's not Payne's grey, so that's quite an important thing to mention. It's designed to recede and give depth. So it's a nice one. It's a useful one. It's the most useful colour of all because it is basically shadow colour, and that's quite important. So over here, I want to paint in some distant cliffs. Bring these into play. Across the horizon. Now I'm using grey because I want depth. I'm going to sort of soften these in a little bit. Love painting seascapes. I'm sure you've seen me do quite a lot of them in the past on here. Again, if you're new to my YouTube channel, please do hit the subscribe button. There's lots of past content on there. There's about 30 or 40 videos, paintings, if not more actually. Also, loads of stuff on Watercolour TV. I'm sure that some of you are members of Watercolour TV that are watching this demo. If you are, thank you. It's the original art video on demand website, and it's almost ready for the new update, folks. Okay, I know I keep saying it's coming, but it is. It'll be worth the wait. Lots of new content, and if you sign up to Watercolour TV now, if you get a membership to Watercolour TV now, you will get it at about £30 cheaper. And as I've mentioned in the past, it will remember how much, as long as you keep your card up to date, it'll remember how much you actually pay per year or per month. So it's a good time to get involved. 12 years worth of content on Watercolour TV. Let me take that masking tape off steady. That'll give it a relatively clean edge. See the bit of seepage? I want to bring it a little bit lower, about here somewhere. First thing I want to do is just have a little bit of a clean up at that base. It's gone a little bit speckly. It kind of runs down the edge. That happens. It's all part of it. Seepage. Now I'm in my 40s. It's a thing here. We can bring this in and pop some little rocks down here. A few little bits and bobs coming into this. So I've introduced a bit of that dark skin into that actually as well. I'll put some nice waves on this as well. And then we'll work that at the edge, because it's the vignette style, the faded edge, which I know you've seen me paint 1,000 times, but I do love doing them. Got a plastic card here, nice and close in. I'm just going to use a plastic card just to scrape away little bits of rocks. Something for you to try, folks, but remember, very much a quick demo. So the last time I did some live stuff on YouTube, which was a few weeks ago, I had people saying, can I slow down? Well, it's a demo. I'm painting at my speed here, folks, so if you want to work more steady, then watch it back at a later stage, I suggest. There you go, that's worked. So that's given me a couple of sort of lines of rocks and things. Just going to sharpen up this edge here. And again, I want to make it clear that this is very different to the way I teach the workshops. They're very much all about giving you time to work. And it's great because if you can't actually do the workshops live, because it's 10 AM Saturday UK time. Now if that's an awkward time for you, it doesn't matter, because once you sign up to a virtual workshop, it's yours to keep forever. So you can join in later, you can rewind, fast forward, skip it on, stop it, start it, all that business. Nice bit of dry brush going off here. I'm going to put some splashes and some waves on very shortly. Let's just use... In fact, let's have a quick glance at the palette. We can see we've got a few colours. This is the blue I use. I'm going to pop some of that grey with it, so it's a bluey grey. Or this one maybe. And it's nice and pale. That's the kind of colour I'm using. Size 10 brush. I'm going to bring in a few extra little bits of ripples around here. Just horizontal sweeps. Big bold ones in the foreground. And then sort of ease it back as it disappears off into distance. There you go, nice. So we've got the basic scene ready for some detail, and that's where I want to go next. I want to bring in some nice detail to this thing, okay? And that to me is what this is all about. We're going to put some waves on, we're going to put rocks with splashes against. It's all good fun. But while things are drying off, I want to get close in to this bottom section here, and a quick glance at the palette. You can see that natural grey is squirted here. Again, yes, all the materials. If you like any of the stuff I'm using, it's all available via the art shop on Watercolour TV. Alright, so you can get access to that. Natural grey. It's mixed from about 70% blue pigment. Very important to mention natural grey. It's very much an important colour because it is the colour of shadows, and that makes such a difference using the right grey. Close into these rocks, size 6 brush. Just going to sharpen up the base of these a little bit and just add a little bit of interest to them. And at the same time as doing this, I could also introduce a little bit. I wouldn't expect to see much of it, but just a little hint of reflection made up of horizontals. and also darken the edge of the water a little bit as well. There we go. So that's just giving a little bit extra to that side, helping that to sit in the painting there. Lovely. Let's have a look at that. Good stuff, yeah? So I want to put some splashes, put some waves on this very, very soon. Again, very much a quick painting. Just a few little extra ripples around with that same colour I've just been using. Little horizontal flicks, it all helps. Can't go wrong. Beautiful. Okay, so let's now put some larger rocks. There's the painting that we did last week at the workshop. Moonlight in Rome. Quite a challenging picture for some of you, I know that. But you've only got to look at the end results. How wonderful the results people did on that picture. It was great. The fountain was lovely on it. To get the white balance fixed. I had to look at the ceiling and then come back down, and it normally fixes. Maybe I'll do this. You can't beat live broadcasting for technical issues. That's better. We're cured. We're cured. Okay, quick dry, and you can enjoy a woodland with beams coming through. That's dry, that was just a quick dry. So even at this stage, the painting kind of looks like a scene. If you painted this, if you were new to watercolours, you did this, hopefully you'd be happy. But I just want to share how to put some waves and some splashes onto this thing, okay? And it's going to be done relatively straightforward, okay? Remember the masking tape that we had? We're going to take little bits of this masking tape, and somewhere towards this side of the picture here, I want to mask off a little strange shape, and bear with me, you can smell the fear, anticipation and all that stuff. I'm just going to mark in, and that's going to be the top of a rock that's popping out to sea, okay, like so. So we'll leave that there just for the minute. Let's get close into that. Now I'm going to be using white paint, and I've got white, you know, I've got a white called Natural White. Here it is, Natural White. But gouache, acrylic, gesso, primer, any kind of white opaque paint will work nice. This particular one is called Natural White. White, and down in the palette, I'm going to pop it on a scrap piece of paper because that's a better option in my opinion. I'd rather do that than squirt it into the palette because I kind of forget it gets a bit messy in there. Now I do have these things called tree and texture brushes, which have been around since the late 90s. These aren't new brushes. It's Matthew Palmer tree and texture brush. The original one dates back all the way as far as 98 it was first designed. That goes back a bit, don't it? Here I've got the largest one, the large tree brush. Make sure I've got all the green off it here. I want to basically pop a tiny bit of water with it, and I want to pick up some of this white on the brush, mix it in and give it a good old stipple. Now if you look at the brush when I do this, can you see how it's gone all nice and spiky? Now it's designed for doing trees obviously, but on this particular picture it's going to help me do some splashes around the backs of these rocks that I will paint a little bit later. So I want to stipple and do these nice, imagine the wave crashing against the, see what I mean? So it's basically, imagine the crashing wave splashing against the rock in this corner here, nice and thick for the paint. You know, if you find the whites disappearing, that's probably because you've gone too diluted with it, okay? Beautiful. Now I'm just being a bit cautious to get a few individual splashes. Of course, if you've not got a tree brush, you could just use an old brush and give it a bit of a stipple and it will do a similar thing for you. So that works. We'll leave that a few seconds. We'll come back down here. Let's get a bit more white, and this time we're going to put some of the rolling waves. And for this, again, I'm using the white and a plastic card. I've got a coffee club card here, look. Well, it's a £10 voucher, look at that. I'm going to use a 6 brush. Take the white, nice and thick. It's important to be thick with these, as we said. Get it all mixing into the brush. I'm going to paint it over the edge of a plastic card. The thicker the better. Don't be afraid. And then back to the picture. Notice how it gathers on the back of the card, yeah? Well, that's what I want it to do. So what I want to do here is create some rolling waves. I'm going to lay this thing flat and we're going to roll it over. Tap it and roll it over. You see that nice kind of breaking wave? Keep doing these as much as I want to. As long as the paint is thick enough, it'll work fine. Let's do one almost as though it's just broken against the splash. I always say do some thinner taps at the edge. See how it tapers? So it doesn't matter if it's acrylic. I mean, acrylic's a bit harder to water in if you make a mistake, but as long as it's an opaque white paint, it'll work nice, and you can see that nice sort of rolling wave effect there. It's amazing what you can do with a plastic card. And as we work our way forward, nice and thick, as I work the way back I can be finer with the taps. So I'm doing some sort of thin taps, so it's creating that illusion of depth. And actually if I hold the card almost right angle and drop it flat against the paper, it'll give me almost a straight line. And of course, when this is dried off, you can pop in little bits of shadows underneath. It's quite addictive, this kind of work. Nice. And then I want to pick up that brush that's got the white on and just do some individual taps around here. Make sure I'm happy with how these things are curling over. I think there's probably enough white on there. I always think it's a nice idea to drop in a bit of white on the edge. So I'm just using that 6 brush that's already got the white on. If you find your white's getting a bit dry, just pop a bit of water with it. A tiny bit goes a long way with an opaque paint like this. So I'm just popping some white on the edge. Clean the brush out this time on the tissue. I'm just going to use water to drag that back. And any bits of the waves I want to reactivate and blend in, then I can do that. I often think a nice bit of white on the edge of the beach and then water it back. It's quite effective. So it's all adding to the effect. And of course I can just pop in a little bits of white along that edge if I feel the need. It all adds to that sort of coastal feeling. Lovely. Well, I'll move that out of the way. Make sure I get the white off the card. The tree brush has still got some white, and if I need to do any more taps, clean that brush out really well. We've got a McFlurry down here. Looks beautiful. Nice bit of white water. That's a pinball machine, that white water. Wonderful. Okay, let's take the masking tape away and we'll paint in a rock. That's giving me that nice crisp edge, you see, and I'm going to put a rock in front of that to make it look as though it's got some sort of depth to it. But just before I do that, I'm just going to take a quick glance at the palette here, folks. And I'm working quick, but I'm getting towards the 30-minute painting mark. I've been on here longer than 30 minutes, but we've not been painting for longer than 30 minutes. I've got some grey, natural grey here, and I'm going to go underneath some of these. Some of the waves here. Bit of water. Basically, just going to soften this thing in. So it helps to give a shadow underneath the wave, you see. Just helps the roll effect. Super. It's taking shape, isn't it? Hopefully it's looking okay on YouTube as well. Let's paint in a rock down here then. I can use a piece of masking tape again for that actually. I'm going to pop the masking tape, say, here. And then I'm going to use some dark colours. I've got the grey, and also I'm going to take some of that dark skin tone. So I've used quite a lot of light skin tone, but I want to use some dark skin tone now. And we're going to paint in a fairly strong colour actually for this rock. Don't be afraid to use the colours quite rich here. So I'm carefully painting along where the tape was. Obviously I don't want to get any white on it because white will cause a few problems. And I'll put some texture into this once it's had a few seconds to dry. Even drop some light skin tone into it as well. Keep it balanced because we've used that elsewhere. So that's a big dark shape all of a sudden in the picture, but what I want to do with it, you'll see in a second, is I want to make it look as though it's... In fact, I'm just going to actually zoom out a bit here. I'm actually going to take this up as though it starts to attach to a bit of a cliff. I mean, I'm making the scene up as I go along here, which is what I really enjoy doing. So imagine that's a bit of a cliff on the side here. A sort of rocky area. Take it a bit higher, and then it kind of goes into the sea, of course. Put some character on this. Give it a bit of a shake. And then just using a bit of water, because I'm trying to paint it in a vignette style, soft edges. I want to make sure that that slightly fades in. So I'm just using a bit of water just to encourage the paint to soften. And then back to the first bit that I did, the first rock, and I want to very quickly glaze over it to make sure it's all nice and active. And that's because I'm going to use that plastic card again to add some texture to it. I know you've seen me do this before, but it's one of those techniques that's timeless really. Well, it is for me. I've been using it as long as I can, well, as long as I've been painting, I think, to be honest, which is quite a number of years. So yeah, we've got the card again, plastic card, and let's have a look at the rocks now. Let's put some shape into it. So first of all, let's go up from here. Imagine this is a rocky shape, a rocky cliff. Up here. You know where those beautiful rock pools are? I keep wiping the paint it picks up off. There you go. You can see it makes that sort of nice kind of rock. And we've got the cliff shooting off to the side. Like I say, I have no idea how I'm going to do these live demos. I just enjoy doing them and at the end of the day. And it's nice that people want to watch them. So thanks for tuning in. I am going to pop some reflection on this little piece here. Let's take the tape off actually, steady. Nice and steady. There you go, so we've got the rocks. Looks alright, doesn't it? Look at the depth we've created from here to there. Love it. Let's bring some reflections in. Over here as well. So it starts to ground it. If we zoom back a little bit so we can see what we've got, we've definitely created a coastal scene there, yeah? Again, if you like my style of painting, folks, you know, you should really be thinking about doing these virtual workshops. And you can see the data, the next one that's coming up is on the actual screen at the minute. But if you're watching this back at a later stage, just head on over to Watercolour TV. The address is in the bottom left of the screen, and you'll see all the dates of the virtual classes. And it's not working this fast, of course. It's working at a nice, relaxed, steady pace, so you can enjoy. Just going to clean the brush out. I'm just almost at the end now, this, folks. And we do have a few spaces left for the 29th of August 2020. I'll say the year in case anyone's watching it back. So I'm going to use that tree brush again, tree and texture brush, what I used before. But I've actually popped on the brush some turquoise and some blue mixed together. Look at the beautiful flat top of that brush, because I just feel around those waves that I want to pop in a little bit of darker wave, because obviously there's going to be some shadows in the water. It's not just going to be all white. Here's a good one. Just have a look at this, folks. Look at this painting here. Can you see that one there? That's how the water's done on this picture, on this galleon. Apologies because that's looking at a TV screen there, so but you can see the wonderful splashes. There's a full video tutorial on how to do that on Watercolour TV for those people that are members of the website. So I'm being very cautious just to pop a few little spots and dots around. It's almost like you're putting shadows into the splash. Can you see what I mean? That nice kind of crashing wave effect. It really works nice, actually. I'm a fan of doing that sort of thing. At the back of the palette, I've got a back of the easel even. Got a craft knife. Craft knives always look nice in seascapes. Down here. In fact, I need to give that a dry. Apologies. You don't want to scrape against damp paper because it'll just rip. So now we've got no white balance again. Let's do this. And let's do that. Only way I can think to cure it. The camera changes the colours of everything. Nice. It's effective when you do them little bits of scratches, and you know, anywhere that you feel, even in the beach, where the water's lapping up against the shoreline there, which works really, really well. I have still got that bit of white left on that piece of card, so I'll just dampen the brush because I feel I could just do a few little spots of some splashes coming up just around the base here, look. And if we're careful, we could even just get a couple of little sort of rivulets of water following the contour. Does that make sense? So the little little veins of water that you'd expect to run down. Like little tree branches really, I suppose, as it just creeps over the rock. But yeah, white paint is quite easy to reactivate, which is what I'm doing here. So I'm just taking a bit of water and just rolling this brush around in it. Basically, it's pretty straightforward stuff. So if you do want to learn watercolours, Watercolour TV is a great resource for learning watercolours. Okay, check it out, folks. There's a free trial on there at the minute, so there's loads of stuff for you to enjoy, and it's a nice way of achieving some nice, pleasing watercolour effects. I mean, look at that. Just have a look at that nice bit of detail there, and if we steady come back here and look at the distance we've created, and that's probably about 30-minute painting time there, folks. And we've created a wonderful watercolour seascape in, well, in half an hour, give or take a few minutes either side. Let's get close in again so you can see all the detail there. Hope you enjoyed that one. It was a nice one to do. Let's come back and take a look at what we've got here. So thank you. Thanks to Lynn and Darcy for being a moderator, keeping an eye on the chat. Thank you, as always. Thanks for tuning in, folks, to that live demo. Hope you enjoyed it. Loads of live stuff. A good place to check out all of my live stuff, of course, is on the YouTube channel. Make sure you hit subscribe. Also, head on over to Matthew Palmer Artist, because if you hit like over there, everything I do is promoted via Facebook. Check out my Facebook page. Check out the workshop. We still have a handful of spaces left for this workshop, and this will be on YouTube forever for you to enjoy. And please stay safe, and I will see you on Saturday for the workshop for those who are taking part in that, and I'll see you on Facebook. There's also a Facebook group, a new Facebook group that I've set up. It's free to join, just called Matthew Palmer's Watercolour Group. If you click join, I will accept you. Check it out, folks. I'll see you very soon. Well, let's take this masking tape away, shall we? Oh, it looks nice.